Hello, everyone. Once again, welcome back to Board Game Dads. My name is Anthony. With me so far, most of the time, is Eric. Hi, Eric.
Hello.
So, if you're not familiar, we've been doing a little bit of a series here called the Holiday Spotlight, where we take a look at some major holidays and some minor holidays throughout the year and come up with some board games that sort of go along with that particular theme of that day. Today is a big one, well, to some people. Depends on your viewpoint, I guess. But we're talking about Valentine's Day, a day full of love and sugar, and sometimes flowers. But before any of that,
And wine.
and wine, yes, that's right, and usually cards
And Cupid.
and Cupid. Yeah, so many symbols for this holiday. That is, I just read a little bit about it online, and it's not recognized as like an actual holiday in any country, I don't think. So it's very on the border of being a serious day, right? Overall.
I don't know. It's just people talk about commercialized holidays, and I think that's pretty much exactly what Valentine's Day is.
Yeah.
But whatever. It's been a big holiday since I was a kid, so it's going to be a big holiday for my kids. So
It was always a big deal in school when you were little for Valentine's Day,
yeah.
right? It was a big day. You got sent all these little cards and you went home with a whole buttload of candy
And you
stupid
made
little cards.
a little mailbox out of like
Right.
an art class or something, out of a box or some paper bags.
Yeah, that was a good day. That was a good day. Anyway, we're getting off topic, which is pretty usual for us. So if you don't like it so far, I got bad news for you. It's probably going to happen again.
But we'll
Regardless.
get better at it.
To the topic here of Valentine's Day. So together, Eric and I were talking about the various symbols of Valentine's Day, which we mentioned before. There's, again, not too much of an actual factual history of this day. Depending on where you read stuff, it's a lot of legends, but a lot of the stories revolve around a priest secretly marrying people who wanted to get married, who were in love, who couldn't get married at some other kind of means, I guess. There's another story that goes that that Valentine was imprisoned and was able to heal the jailer's daughter who was blind, and before his execution sent a letter that said "from your Valentine," which then was later sort of adopted as what that greeting was called, a Valentine. From your Valentine, be my Valentine. Again, some of it's true, some is legend. Doesn't matter. The short of it is there's games to talk about that have a lot to do with love, and that's exactly what Eric and I are going to get into today. Now, a couple caveats here. We did a previous video for National Spouses Day back in January, which could possibly have had a lot of crossover here because these are games that we play with our wives mostly. That's just kind of the way things are now. But we made sure to separate those. So these are games that we have not talked about before. Is that correct on your end as well?
Right. Well, with Valentine's Day, we decided to really go for a particular theme. There was a lot of stuff to choose from, but we went with games that have characters who are falling in love in some form, whether it's your character or another character or whatever.
So before we get to the actual picks, we do have a couple of honorable mentions that, like Eric was saying about falling in love, it's not really the big part of these games. There's sort of a hint to it. Eric, what's your first one that you want to touch on briefly?
Well, in the game Stone Age, there is a love shack where you put two meeples down, they make a third meeple, and then that meeple goes right to work. There's no time for playing around in the Stone Age. But yeah, that was going to be there, but when we narrowed down the category more to characters falling in love in a game, it doesn't really fit. So that was my honorable mention.
Yeah, you got to love that. You get the kid and put him right to work, right?
Yeah.
He just came out and all right, go to the woods and go chop down some trees.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, I wish that's the way it was now. But anyway, my honorable mention is similar to your pick in that the love aspect is very minimal, and it does involve two of the characters just kind of being in the same space in the game, and that's Takanoko, which is a great game about pandas and about a bamboo garden. This particular part is the expansion, which was
Right.
called Takanoko Chibis, which came with a female panda and some tokens of baby pandas. I wish they were actual baby panda figurines. I was a little disappointed they were just cardboard little flat tokens, but
I forgot about that until right now. And you're right. That was really disappointing.
yeah, yeah. And by the way, there's a ridiculously giant version of this game that I think the pieces are about yay big.
I've
Have you
seen
ever
that on
seen?
Instagram. That
Yeah,
looks fantastic.
yeah, yeah. But again, going back to the original idea here, in that particular expansion, if you move the female panda to the same space as the male panda, and you have bamboo to spare, then you can produce a baby panda. And in that case, that game, it gives you a particular special ability or bonus to do. So it's again something real simple that is definitely not in the main theme of that game. But a little love there, just a little bit of love in those games.
So both of our honorable mentions had to do with reproduction.
That is true. That is
is
true.
not planned. Okay.
All right. So getting down to the nitty gritty here, talking about actual characters falling in love in a game. Um, the first one that I wrote down, even when we just originally made this idea, is really the quintessential Valentine, right? And that's the love letter. Um, again, there's a little bit of a story in this version. There are countless versions of this game, which we'll get into. But in this original version, the premise is that the princess's mother has been wrongly arrested, and so she's very distraught. She's locked herself in her tower room or whatever. And so all of these suitors in the kingdom want to woo her. They want to comfort her, make her feel better, whatever. And because of this, there are many guards around the princess, and so it's not easy to just go up to her. So there's basically a lot of conniving and scheming going on between these potential suitors who have to figure out a way to get these love letters, these letters of affection and tiny gifts and things to the princess, working with the princess's, handmaidens and other members of the staff that are in on it and whatnot. It's a very thin theme to the actual gameplay, but that's what the storyline is.
That was a lot of a description for a very thin theme.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But listen, the theme is so thin, right, that there is this.
Right, that's the one that we have.
And this.
That's the only other one that we've played.
And so many others, right? There's a ridiculous amount. They all basically work the same way. It's a real simple card game. I think there's only 16 or 18 cards in this game total. Everybody gets one to start. And in any part of the game, when it's your turn, you're only going to have 2 cards in your hand. You just play one of them. And they each do something a little bit different. Some of them let you look at other people's cards. Some of them let you give you protection from other cards that'll do something to you later that round. Basically, all the cards do something different. The ultimate goal is you're trying to be the last person standing in this game. So basically, someone's going to get eliminated. If you correctly identify what everybody has, you win the round, right? So if I guess or deduce what this person has and this person has, I win. Or if the deck of cards runs out, which it does quickly in this game because it's not that many, whoever has the highest value card left in their hand wins that round. And you play over a number of rounds. I forget what it is, different per player count. But this is a real nice one. It's real easy. I've taught this to kids. This is actually pretty good with 2 players. Lord and I play it quite often between the 3 versions that we have here. The only difference with the 2-player is, which is kind of cool, you actually reveal 3 cards face up and then just deal out like you would in a normal game. So you're just given a little more open information. But a nice little card game that has a lot of cool deduction to it. So you have played this, just not the original theme. That's correct?
Right. We've only played your copy of the Batman one and our copy and possibly your copy of the Santa Claus one. And it's a great game for a reskin. Like you can slap on any theme and play that. It's real simple. You can get a bunch of people to play it and understand it relatively easily. There is a decent amount of cards that like non-gamers would be like, "Oh, I don't understand."
Yeah, it's definitely you got to put the effort in to teach that part, right?
Right,
Like, I
right,
mean, I have to go over what each card does.
right.
But once you do know that, any skin of this game it plays the same way. I haven't seen much of a difference. The only thing that's different that I've seen in the Batman version is that they have the little tokens that you get an extra one if you correctly guess someone, I think, as Batman. Um,
Uh,
I believe that's the case. So like if I play a Batman card and I guess that you have Two-Face and you do, not only are you out, I get a token for that.
it does sound familiar, actually.
And then I would get another token if I win the round. In a two-player game, it's kind of relevant, but
So two-player game of Love Letter is, for me at least, we play the first game and somebody wins, right? It's usually just gonna be me and my wife that play this game, and then we'll play another one and somebody else wins, and we gotta play 5 more games of this. Like, I'm done. Like I don't need to play best of 7 or
right.
whatever. Like we're good.
All right. So away from my garbage pick and on to a good game. So go ahead. Enlighten
So
us.
so for my first pick of a game that has characters that fall in love, it is called Pursuit of Happiness. And you are a character, and you're finding new hobbies, and you're buying stuff, and all these things are giving you um, maybe like creativity and knowledge, and then you also have your short-term happiness and stress, and and you're trying to manage all this stuff while you're playing all these things, and then you can also get a girlfriend, and so you have the relationship, and then you have to balance that, and that also takes time, so you have to like put a player pawn, um, and it's fun. It's a really it's kind of like The Sims, right? You're playing out like this life where
Hmm.
you have a job, and these are your interests, and you have this car, and you have this board game collection, and this is what you do, and you start as a kid, and you get older and older and older, and you got to manage your stress, and you got to it's cute. It has a very like upbeat kind of feel. So it's a sunny game, right? Like it just makes you feel warm. It's nice. Have you
Okay. Is
played this
this?
one?
I haven't actually. Is this a worker placement game?
It is. You have
Okay.
you have hourglasses, so your workers are time, right? So each
Okay.
turn you have a certain amount, and you can. Oh, all right, well, I'm going to spend some time doing this activity over here, and and working on designing a board game, and then I have this job over here. I have to put some time into my job because I got to get money so I can buy all this other stuff.
Hmm.
Now I have all this money. Oh, I'm gonna go skydiving because that's going to boost my lower my stress and boost my short term happiness, and it's fun. It's a really cool game, and you can fall in love in the game, and you can have a family, and it's they do have 2 cards. One of them is Eric, and one of them is
Okay.
Mel,
Okay.
and I see you can have Eric and Mel fall in love.
Is there
My
an
wife's
Anthony
name
in
is
the game?
Melissa for anyone listening.
Is there an Anthony in the game?
I don't know.
Let me ask you, in that game, is it when you fall in love, like, is that something that happens because you go to that spot, or do you like can you fall
So
in love because you have a shared hobby or
So
at
what
will?
it is you have to at some point decide, like, you can spend time and you can start a relationship, right? And then
Okay.
you pick somebody from the relationship, and you put them, oh, this is my my partner, my whatever. And each card is a boy or a girl on either side with all
Okay.
like the same stats, so it doesn't matter. You can choose whatever you want. Um, and you put them down, and then you have to they have upkeep, right? You have to spend time, and maybe
Right.
for some of them you have to spend money. Maybe some of them you have to have a certain amount of like knowledge or something. And so yeah, so you have to put some effort into maintaining that relationship. And then if you go to the next relationship, also they'll give you bonuses. Like your
Mm.
short term happiness will go up, your stress will go maybe up. You know, um,
And so
but
what's the game end on this? You don't actually
so
die.
you
You don't.
grow old, and then when you're super old, the game's over. or you die. I don't remember.
Or both.
It could be both. But yeah, towards the end of the game, it's things start slowing down. You can't do as much stuff. You don't have as much energy and time to put out.
Is there actually a thing about playing board games in the game?
Oh,
For hobby?
absolutely.
Wow,
There's an
cool.
item that you can like own that you can buy with money that increases your short term happiness or whatever, and it's board game collection.
Nice.
You can also I think there's a comic book collection as well,
Hmm.
and there's I think design a board game is a hobby,
Wow, that's awesome.
not a job. Hobby.
Yes.
It's a fun worker placement game, and like I said, it's really kind of a positive feeling game.
Cool. Yeah, I definitely would want to check that out for sure. Well, speaking of positive feelings, again, talking about falling in love, I have a redemption pick, I think. I know you don't like Love Letter. I know for a fact that you like this game, though, that I'm about to say. So it's all good. This game is Back to the Future, specifically Back to the Future, Back in Time. There's another Back to the Future game. Well, there's more than just two, but two came out really close together. This one, though, is the plot of the first movie to a T, to the point where the whole time in the game you are literally trying to get George and Elaine to fall in love, just like Marty and Doc are doing in the movie. You've also got to move the DeLorean and get parts for the DeLorean, and all the while deal with Biff, right? And his crew keep popping up and
He's so
annoying
annoying.
you. Yeah. And his stupid face is on the dice. So like, there's one thing about rolling like a crappy number when you're rolling like for dice, but in this game you roll and you see his stupid face, or like two of his faces, I think, are on some of the die faces. Terrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. The main point is you are definitely trying to fall in love in this game. It is a main aspect of the gameplay. This is a game that is cooperative. You can play as either Marty or Doc or Jennifer or Einstein. And
Now I'm going to stop you right there.
go ahead.
We've played this 3, maybe 4 times, my wife and I. We've only ever played 2-player games.
Mm-hmm.
When we played as Jennifer, she was useless.
What is her special ability in the game?
I don't remember. I like moved closer to Marty or something like that, and it was just like Doc and Einstein. Einstein's helping keep Biff away at certain times. That's really really helpful. And Doc is something trying to get the DeLorean pieces, which you got to focus on that really early in the game. Get that DeLorean down to the thing, get the 3 pieces, and get that ball rolling so that you can focus on the love meter. But yeah, Jennifer, absolutely useless, and I don't know who else they would put in the game.
Even Einstein is a stretch, right? Like, to be honest, come on. But
yeah.
you're right. It's really a tight cast there, and because you have George and Elaine,
it might have been funny
as not playable characters.
It might have been funny to see like Wild West Marty from Back to the Future 3, and maybe like Future Marty, like as other playable characters instead of Jennifer.
Listen, that game I think did really well. I would be shocked if they don't expand that. It would be a no-brainer in my book. That game, by the way, is from, I believe, Prospero Hall Funko company that are making some really fantastic games based on intellectual properties on things like Back to the Future. And geez, what else? Harry Potter and Golden Girls and all this stuff. Anyway,
talking about the Funkoverse.
Well, that specifically, yeah. But then even
Kool-Aid Man.
Kool-Aid Man.
Oh yeah. Wait, was that more like Macho Kool-Aid Man?
They are very similar. Do you have any of those?
We do. We have the Batman one.
Ah.
I bought that for Melissa for Christmas. She didn't ask for it. I thought it might be cute. And we haven't played it. And this was last Christmas.
Last Christmas,
I gave you Papa Funkoverse, and a whole year later, and it's still on the shelf. This year, I learned my lesson. I'm not going to get you anything unless you ask for it.
Yes. Bravo, bravo. I love how focused we are during during these discussions.
I agree.
We're gonna ring it in here, and again, I told you there was gonna be nonsense and shenanigans and
Yeah,
things
sorry
like that.
about that.
So you were warned. Getting back to the whole love thing. So in Back to the Future, there are two conditions that need to be met in order for the players to win the game. One, you have to get the DeLorean from the starting space to the space right in front of the clock tower, but you also need to have the love meter at a certain point past a certain number. So there's this love meter score track thing that has a photo of the McFly family, that the one that he has in the movie with his brother and sister. And at certain points in the game, you're going to check this love meter, and if it's in a certain area, you're going to flip over one of those pieces of the photo, which is bad. And if it's really low on the love meter, you flip over two pieces of the photo. Devastating. So your whole objective here to keep that thing up is to make sure that George and Elaine are pretty much always in the same space as long as you can.
First off, is that true that if the love meter's all the way down, you're flipping over two pictures? I thought
Yeah.
it was along the track on the bottom towards the end, like the last two turns, are two pictures. So like when
No, there's a part of the board that's the double. It's called a double photo zone. Bear with me. The
Right.
negatives.
So
This is,
if you're in there, you're flipping over two pictures.
yes.
Oh man, this game's a lot harder now.
I was gonna. One of my questions was going to be if you have won this game or not. I've only played twice and we did not win. So you did win, but maybe falsely.
Oh yeah, yeah. We've won with Einstein and Doc twice at least, and I don't believe, at least the second time, the most recent time we played this game, I don't believe we were flipping over two cards for being in that dark red zone.
But yeah, the love track thing is really cool because you start the game with 6 of these tiles, color tiles of the photo, and it's just really another small detail, but a great detail tie-in with the movie.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely. The cards, yeah. I really like the artwork, right? Because they're not trying to make it look like Michael J. Fox or anything. It's just It's the story and this cartoon art, you know.
Yep.
And you know all the cards and the references, the places that they were at the movies and everything. It's nice. There's really a lot of thematic ties to this, and it looks great out on the board.
Oh yeah.
The only problem is that apparently I've been playing it wrong, and the game is a lot harder than I thought.
You're gonna have to go back in the book and put a little asterisk on those.
That's not happening.
All right, on to your second pick. What do you got for us?
So my last game is a game called Fairy Tile. Now, Fairy Tile, super simple game. You do one of two things in your turn. You either take a tile and place it, and the tiles are these. You got like 3 hexagons on the tile. Batista, you have one there. So you either put one of those out, which has, this one has a castle, a mountain, and a forest on it, and then, or you can move one of the 3 miniatures. There's a princess, there's Ulrich, the hero, and then there's the dragon. And you can move any one of them, and you're going to have these story cards, and in no particular order, but you'll have these story cards in your hand, and it'll say, oh, the princess meets the prince at the castle. So that means you got to get the prince and the princess all to move over to the castle. And once that's done, you score this card, and then you take another card. And that's how you win the game. You have the most cards by the end of the game. You get the most story points. And part of the story is that the prince and the princess fall in love and get married at the end. Mm-hmm. So in terms of a Valentine's Day tie-in, there you have it.
There you go. And what's cool about this game, too, is that on those cards, in addition to having a condition you have to meet to score them, there's a separate part that's a little bit of a story, right? We call it flavor text on these games. And you are sort of at the end of the game supposed to flip through your story and kind of like retell it, which is, I mean, something that we probably did the first time we played, probably won't do again. But this is a great family game.
It's simple. Put a card down. Each one of the three miniatures has its own specific type of movement.
Right.
But once you understand that, real simple and
Yeah.
and fun. It's not meaty, but
No, but it looks
you play
really
it and you're
nice.
like, that was fun. I have
Yeah,
to put it
yeah.
away now, but that was fun. I don't
It's
regret
definitely
that.
it's a satisfying play. It's
Yeah.
fun while you're doing it. And the tiles, by the way, are double sided, so they're not exactly the same every time either. So the game, the map is never going to be identical. So, like Eric said, as long as you know the movement of the characters, you're not going to have an advantage by like knowing where the good spaces are or anything. It's going to be different every time. All right, so there you have it, folks. A couple of good picks, a couple of so-so picks, I guess, a couple of honorable mentions. But no, all joking aside, there are plenty of games out there. We love talking about them, as you can tell. And if you have any recommendations or games that you think have a little bit of love in them, feel free to add that to the comments below. We'd love to hear from y'all. And I think that's about it. Eric, anything else to add?
I have nothing to add.
All right. Well, happy Valentine's Day to all you lovers out there. And we'll see you next time. I'm Anthony. That's Eric. We're Board Game Dads. Oh, and check out Eric on the Meeples Republic on Instagram. All right. Good night, folks.
Good night.